So after the movie was done, I looked to you and I said, do you want to do the review with me? And you said, oh yeah. And I said, good, because I'm going to need reinforcements.
Frozen 2, Let It Boogaloo.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to like us after this review. I did not enjoy this movie.
I didn't think it was very good.
No.
That was a mess.
That was kind of depressing. I really liked the first film.
It was kind of it was depressing as a movie, but also just kind of depressing because it wasn't that great.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. Just not. It's weird. It's trying to throw a lot at you, definitely. It's not like there's no passion in it or drive or anything, but it's like it is really unfocused, and you can tell what was shoehorned in, and
you could tell where they had a story.
Yeah.
Like, this is
ideas.
This is our story idea. This is the central part of it. Okay, we got maybe 45 minutes of screen time. All right, let's throw some snowman shit over here. Let's throw some subplot about what's-his-face trying to propose to Anna over here. Let's throw some troll shit over here. Let's...
While we're at it, an 80s music video, too.
And an 80s music video, which...
that's in.
Which I have to admit I kind of really liked because it was batshit, but at the same time I'm like, this is the ultimate act of desperation. that you really just threw an 80s music video right into the middle of this movie.
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so the first Frozen, the opening is, kind of a complicated story. It doesn't always make sense. I mean, we make fun of everybody, kind of makes fun of that.
It's X-Men. She's like Jubilee. She has the powers. It's misunderstood.
But you can follow the story basically. You can do a storybook version. You can give this to kids in the storybook. What would the storybook read-along version of this movie be?
Oh, Christ, if I know.
Would you be able to follow it at all?
It was so plot-heavy.
Yeah,
with no real payoff.
No!
I thought, well, maybe if there's some huge... But I'm like, man, you could have told this story in a way simpler way. It's almost like they knew the story may have been too simple at its basic idea. So like, well, let's just make it needlessly complicated. It'll trick people into thinking that this is like better than it really is. I don't know.
It's so weird. I just feel like they've had, because they're coming off of just this huge fucking movie. Frozen is still a huge movie. I mean, there's still merchandise and kids dressing up like the characters and stuff. So there's got to be all this pressure to make this like even bigger and even grander and even more meaningful and even funnier and let's have 5 Let It Goes instead of 1, and it just, you sense that.
And not a single one. I know this is love-hate relationship with that song, but like I'm just gonna say it, not a single one is as good as Let It Go. Like
no, I
don't think people. And there's good.
A third of the songs I think are.
Oh yeah, no, there's some great,
really good.
There's some great songs in here, but in all their attempts, I don't think there's gonna be a song that's gonna catch on in this movie like Let It Go did to that same level.
That is funny because
and they try. Holy shit!
There's literally a scene where she goes into like this. It starts off, in this sort of, outside, where it's blue and the song starts, slow, and then she goes inside sort of this icy realm, kind of this cave castle place, and her dress changes, and it just keeps building and building, and then she's surrounded by ice. I mean, and what a shock, the song is eerily similar to Let It Go.
Oh, and my favorite, though, is that I don't know how you can miss it, but you must have caught that scene where she's walking through. It's like they're playing parts of her past, like she's seeing her memories, like her life flash before her eyes, and she gets to walk past it because they're almost like ice sculptures, and one of them is her singing Let It Go, and she goes like, and I'm like, no, you don't get to do that while you're trying to pump out 5 more of these songs in this one movie.
Exactly. I'm like, you should really talk, seeing how you're trying to do it like 8 more times in this. So I mean, we won't go into spoilers with this, but I mean, like, I don't even know if we could, just explaining everything that happens in this movie.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it straight up. There is no spoiler in this movie because
you can predict
literally
everything.
From the first second when it shows you the flashback and what happened, you can put together instantly what happened based on who saw what and what you didn't see. And I'm like, all right, got it. I know what really happened here. The truth that she has to find out. And then the next one is, there's this character that's a bridge between worlds. Like that's not a spoiler. That's what they say fairly early on in the movie.
pretty easy to figure out.
No, one guess who that's gonna be. Like, if you can't figure it out, so that means the two big things you've already figured out, and that's the thing, like, the movie treats it like these are big twists. Like, but it's not like Hans in the first movie, which I didn't even like as a twist, but I will say this, that took me by surprise, because I'm like, well, I honestly didn't see that coming because I thought the movie was gonna be smarter than that, but this time around, I'm just like, well, every single thing that happens, I'm like, I just knew this was gonna happen, and then it does all these things, and then the ending is pretty much like nothing was sacrificed.
When it got to the
not
end,
a single thing was sacrificed.
not only was nothing sacrificed, and they're making it look like the resolution they're talking about doing. At first, I'm like, that's a little extreme, but it's also like the fairy tales. That's what you do: extreme setups, extreme payoffs. You know, I get it. But I mean, in typical old-fashioned Disney standard, they just don't follow through. They completely backtrack on it,
and it all worked out.
Yeah, and when it gets to the end, I remember thinking to myself, is this really it? Like, are we ending on? Like, I
know,
didn't feel like there was a climax.
It felt almost anticlimactic.
Yeah.
This feels like that weird second film that's part of a trilogy where it's like, well, this is the bridge to get you to, like, the third film. But I'm like, I don't think I'm sure they're going to do a third film if this one does well. But I'm like, I feel like story-wise, they probably don't have a third film planned. This one barely felt planned.
No,
it felt like
it felt like it was just too much. Yeah, it was too much. It had too many ideas. Some of them like good ideas.
Oh yeah, I can't deny that. There's like a few great moments in this movie, but everything around it, all the side stuff is just, you know what it is? It's like, except I liked the core of that movie better, but it's like Last Jedi, where it's like, most of my problems with that film is all the stuff going on in the periphery.
Well, but, and kind of like Last Jedi, where I can name like 2 or 3 characters where I'm like, well, I like everything with this character and this character and stuff. With this, I like everything with Elsa.
Yeah.
Everything with Elsa feels big. It feels grand. It feels like this is a sequel to Frozen.
There's parts of Anna's story I like, but her, what's her fiance's name?
Kristoff.
Kristoff, thank you. Is Sven the reindeer?
Yeah.
Okay, I keep wanting to say Sven. Everything with Anna and Kristoff is just garbage.
They're acting like Elsa and Anna have more of a romantic relationship than the two of them.
And I, like, when I throw out the word garbage, it's pretty bad. I'm like, it is...
You use that word a lot.
Bottom of the barrel. No, I do when it's really, really bad. We see a lot of really bad shit
that's
sometimes.
legit.
And I'm saying it's garbage. It is like the bottom of the barrel. Like, you know the joke instantly. I'm going to try to propose to Anna. Uh-oh, something went wrong.
That's his character.
That's it.
The
whole
whole
movie.
thing.
Right there.
Nothing
That goes on
else.
throughout the entire movie. And every single scene is painful to watch.
Well, if it was something new, but we've seen that bit so many times. And
it's literally, what was it, The Rescuers Down Under?
I was saying, but that was more charming.
It was way more charming.
Because he wasn't like,
But we've already seen it before, so I'm saying,
yeah.
in a Disney movie, an animated Disney movie, a much better Disney movie.
It wasn't even like a financial hit.
Yeah, that wasn't even a financial, that wasn't a
it's
sequel.
It's like Brave ripping off Brother Bear, like, why would you do that? It wasn't a hit.
That was a sequel that wasn't a giant hit to an original that wasn't a giant hit either. I don't think The Rescuers was like a huge smash.
And I'm realizing more and more why they introduced Olaf halfway through the first film, because my God.
I so wanted to take a fucking hairdryer to that thing. And the first film, I'm like, yeah, he's all right. He's not my favorite character, but I'm like, he's fine. I didn't like. Probably 10 minutes into this movie, I was already like, oh God.
Well, we need to stop this thing.
I just, and you know what part of it is? It's the fact that, what's the Lewis Black quote? He smiles so much, I don't think he has a central nervous system. That stupid smile and those big eyes that, oh God, it's after a while I'm just like, he starts freaking me out.
You know, every time Elsa is on screen, there's a sense that the story is moving forward, something is progressing, we're finding out that we're solving this mystery, or she's singing about something that's meaningful, and everything is going forward. where every single time literally any other character is on the screen, it just stops everything to a halt.
I'll tell you, I think I know what happened. This is a movie where the powers that be, whether it was the creative team or the studio execs or the mouse himself, came down and pretty much was just like, I don't trust our stupid goddamn audience to buy any of this shit. You gotta throw in some side characters and make some laughs and do something. They're not just gonna follow Elsa around doing adult stuff. Like, and that's what it feels like. Like the Elsa story feels strong, and then there's like all this stuff. It's like, well, I gotta keep the kids entertained somehow.
No, which a part of me a part of me gets that, but they did it so much better in the first one.
That's fine in doses.
Yeah.
But I felt like it literally was 50-50. 50% of this movie, there was like a story with Elsa being told, with Anna in it a bit. But that's the thing, like, all of the side characters in the first movie played a role. I don't feel like anybody did. Literally, Kristoff leaves the movie for a good 35 minutes or something. Like, he shows up and you just went, oh yeah.
Yeah, remember him? Yeah.
And he comes in, and Anna has this moment where she's gonna save the day, and then all of a sudden she gets into trouble. So here comes Kristoff on his, valiant steed, the reindeer, and it's like, I got you. And I'm like, that was pretty much it. That was Kristoff's entire contribution to the story, just come in at the last second and rob Anna of a cool kick-ass moment for a split second.
What's so funny, because you were talking about the story is very predictable, and it is, but at the same time, they're throwing so much story at you, and then new characters that are introduced seem like they might be something, and then they're just kind of thrown away. There's this
Those whole North Aldrin people, like, this is cool. A new culture. Like, yeah, let's see what this is about.
This is a fire lizard that's like, oh, what's this going to be? Oh, okay, he does nothing. Yeah, you can cut him out, miss nothing.
My brain so shut down in this film that I didn't even realize those animals that pop up are the earth, fire, wind, waters. It was at the very end when when they're all there, and I'm like, oh, fire lizard. I'm like, the horse is made out of water. I'm like, oh, the trolls are earth. Oh, I'm like, that's how much my brain just shut off. I'm just like, I just didn't care.
Well, it just didn't feel like, nothing felt that organic. Again, it just felt like, here's some ideas. And some of the ideas, it's like, man, these are good starting points. Like, they're playing around with this idea that, like, water has memory because it has such a long history and it travels so much. And it's just like, that's kind of a cool thought. And then kind of this world where, earth, wind, fire, water, and they're all kind of connected.
I liked the idea that we may have to sacrifice our kingdom to basically save these other people.
Yeah, it's an idea.
That went somewhere. There's a number of great ideas. I liked Anna and Elsa arguing about there's a couple of decent lines. I did like one, if you don't want me getting in,
to follow you into fire,
then don't go into fire. Like, I was like, that was a decent line. But this is the same movie though that also has a line from Olaf that's, I found the one thing that's always there that will never die. What is it? Love. I'm like,
No, I felt like
that's like bottom of the bit. That's a Hallmark card.
Even the lines in the original Frozen, which some are definitely spelled out, but I feel like they don't spell it out as much. Where they're like, Elsa, when she figures out the balancing of her power, they're like, oh, your love brought me back. She's like, that's it, love. And then says everything, right? Like, that's it. It wasn't, it's the love that you gave up and the love for all people and the love, and that's what this movie does so much. They over-explain so much to a point where there's so much story. There's one scene, there's a cool scene, again, with Elsa, where she's like, there's some sort of whirlwind going on. She sees these images and she just uses her ice powers to freeze everything. There's sort of these statues, there's one of a horse, there's one of these two people, there's these cool things. And they're like, what is this? And she says, it looks like frozen images of the past. I'm like, good guess. There's so much story going on where it's just
that was another plot point too. It's like, what's the secret behind my mother? It's like, really, you can't figure it out. That's another one. It was like the first second that flashback in the beginning. I'm like, got it.
And they're playing like this is like the big emotional moment, but it's like even like little. It's like I feel like little kids would figure it out, but I feel like little kids would be asking. So wait, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to save? What are they trying to stop?
Part of the problem is I read a weird article that was talking about how they may have wanted Frozen to grow up with its audience. So this one's like dark or whatever. But I still feel like with all the side stuff,
gonna
which
say,
is
is it?
scraping bottom of the barrel. I'm like, I feel like as an audience, they've regressed in a way. Like, we're supposed to have gone from like maybe 10-year-olds back to 5-year-olds now, because like some of the way they handle these side jokes and characters and stuff are actually way worse. So I'm like, it's a weird mix.
But you know, actually, you really nailed it there, because a lot of this does feel kind of like a young adult book, you know, like with all the complicated stories and the worlds and the tribes, you know, and all that stuff. But then it's kind of like, even though I do like Atlantis, it's kind of the same problem that had. It's like, but you're still throwing in the cute Disney sidekicks, and it's like these don't.
Oh, I liked
mix.
Atlantis.
No, I like Atlantis a lot more, and I thought they did it better. But you know what I'm talking about? They're still like. But you're still too Disney, you know, where Disney, I feel like the past 5 or 10 years has actually been pretty good at not being Disney. You know what I mean? With like Marvel and stuff like that.
Gone like an Avatar Last Airbender route, where I'm like, oh, a new culture and Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, and it's like, don't really learn jack shit about anything. And I'm like, man, had you cut out, if you had just made Anna and Kristoff married already, you'd cut all that shit out and then devote more time to more important story elements.
Honestly, if they just said, Anna, Kristoff, you're married. Look after the kingdom. Olaf, bye-bye. I'm gonna go this way. And we just followed her? I'd be fine. Why not do that? I mean, I know why. They need the toys. They need the characters. But that, man, you feel that.
So much more obvious in this one, too.
Yeah.
That's what, you know what it is? It's like, I don't, like, there's nothing wrong with being manipulated. But the biggest sin you can commit is having that person know and feel like they're being manipulated. Like you can, if you're good at manipulating, the other person doesn't know it. But this one, like, I just felt it the whole way through. And yeah, there's elements to the first Frozen.
Definitely.
But it also felt like they were trying to tell a story first.
Yeah, but
and this one is just like,
charming.
need
It's
more
funny.
of the snowman.
It's sad. It's you know, big. It's grand. It's beautiful. This movie does have some nice visuals, but the land they're in most of the time is mostly dead and dull and gray and ugly.
Yeah, because there's this mist in the forest that they have to get. So
which even that could be cool, but they don't make it that interesting.
No. It really wasn't that pretty of a film.
And that's,
The one, there were 2 moments that were, like, great. I remember the first one is Elsa has to cross, like, the Dark Sea.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't the trailer, but it gets even cooler after what they show in the trailer with her trying to cross.
But so we were kind of like bored, and the snowman kept babbling on, and then she like stares directly at the camera, like out over the ocean, gets this look like, all right, I'm gonna fucking do this, and like zips up her hair or whatever, and then like runs and crosses. Like it's really was legit badass. I'm like, okay, like I'm into this. Finds a way to cross it. There's this big water horse that she has to like wrestle, and she's like bouncing across, and she goes to this like magic land and does it. And like for about, I'd say 10 minutes, the movie like switched on until that twist. And like, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler. She's like temporarily kind of taken out of the story for a little bit. But after that happens, I'm like, well, now we're done. I turn to you, like when that happens, I'm like, I feel like we just saw the coolest part of the movie. Like that 10 minutes was it. And there's one other, I did like the 80s song, so maybe there's 3 moments, but again, the 80s song's not legit good. It's just, it was so batshit it made me laugh.
It's kind of so crazy out of nowhere and bad and not needed. You have to laugh at it, you know, like you remember it.
The third part is, there's a song about grief, and it's legit amazing, well written, very true, and would probably be the best part of the movie if it weren't for the person she was singing about.
Yeah, no, and well,
I don't know how to.
Well, I'm not. You were like, man, that was a good song. I'm like, was it? And I'm thinking to myself, I was distracted by who she's crying over.
I'm like, just divorce yourself from the movie and think about those lyrics. And I'm like, tell me it's not an amazing song. And you're like, yeah, because I know what you're saying, but I'm like, it was amazing, but I'm like, it is. But
it's also shoehorned in with like 7 or 8 other songs. I mean, there's a lot of songs in this movie which can work. Like Nightmare Before Christmas had a lot of songs. I mean, there's plenty of musicals that have a ton of songs.
But it's only 50%
but they feel
of the songs are really
shoehorned
good.
in.
Yeah.
And only about half of them are legit good. And man, the comedy ones
because of course
are like
Olaf
really
gets another
rough.
song.
Yeah, no, he
his
has a
made
couple.
me his made me laugh because he's just like, maybe I'll understand it when I'm older. Maybe this will all make sense. I'm like, man, you said it, buddy. Because I'm staring at this going like, maybe 20 years from now I'll be like, this is a good movie. But
Yeah,
I'll say this: like, I've seen way worse than this movie for kids films,
definitely.
but that's the problem with Disney. They set the bar so high as a company that I'm like, oh yeah, there's way worse. This still beats half the kids films that come out every year. But I'm like, for Disney though, this is like, this is like one of the lesser ones.
Yeah, I don't know,
I
man.
was
Maybe they
surprised.
just panicked and, hey, we're trying to throw in so much. I don't know. As we know, a lot of animated films like go through a lot of rewrites, a lot of changes. I mean, just look at the story making the first Frozen. I mean, it would like Elsa being the good guy didn't happen until like the last third of production, something like that. I mean, so there's a lot of changes. But when it works, you feel like, man, this must have been the story they always wanted to tell. This feels like they made a bajillion changes and they didn't iron it out. Like those, you just feel that moving around. No, this should be here. No, that song should be here now. No, this character should go now. Now this character should come back now. Like, you just feel it throughout the whole thing and the emotions don't connect.
I think part of the problem, I don't know, I felt almost instantly, I got a slight sinking feeling just when it flashed the credit Frozen 2, and I'm like, just what an uninspired title. Like, what a sad, uninspired, like, and I know they've, like, Pixar's done that, there's Toy Story 2, and, like, there's something about Toy Story films, like, it worked in a way for that, just because I'm like, well, what do you, it's Toy Story, like, but most of the Pixar, like, at least they have Monsters University, and I'm just like, Frozen 2, I'm like, God, that feels like a direct to DVD title, like no subtitle, no nothing, just it said Frozen 2, and I'm like, that was the best they could come up with, and I don't know, right
I think
from
they
there,
felt
I
like
was
they
like,
didn't need anymore, just Frozen 2. You know what? There's so many Frozen shorts, and that's kind of what this feels like. This feels like a Frozen short dragged out to like an hour and a half. Because there's just as much, we got crammed this much information really, really fast.
No.
But
I'll tell
then
you what
suddenly
this is.
you're supposed to be really
No.
emotionally invested.
This feels like a good Frozen movie that's been completely taken over by Frozen shorts. Because there's like that part with Elsa, and like I'm like, no, that's all good. That doesn't feel like a short. That feels like a feature film. And then all of this other stuff that they're just shoving into it, like they just said, well, let's put 10 Frozen shorts into this Frozen movie.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line, you feel, I guess you kind of, and I like the Frozen shorts fine, even that Olaf one on its own is fine. You just don't want, we were joking that before this starts, there's going to be a 20-minute Coco short.
Yeah, you were just like, where's the 20-minute Coco short? And I'm like, no, it's going to be another 20-minute Olaf cartoon.
But that is kind of what we got.
Yeah, that is what we got.
So, I mean, I feel you can take kids to it fine. I think kids would want to see it just to see Frozen 2, and I think they would get through it fine. I don't know if they would, love it.
I don't know. Well, somebody behind us was enjoying
was having
it.
fun with Olaf, yeah.
There's like one guy, it's like a guy and his two kids, and this guy, anytime Olaf says that,
He was in his second childhood, man.
I just turned around and I'm like, you know what? I'm glad someone's happy.
That's what I was saying. I was like, I'm not even laughing at Olaf. I'm just laughing how hard
this
he's
guy.
laughing.
Every stupid line Olaf had, and he had some bad ones.
I kind of loved it. It's the only thing that made Olaf tolerable in
I
this.
kind of did too, because I'm like, well, somebody's getting some joy out of this.
So, I mean, yeah, I feel like kids would probably like the Olaf stuff, and like maybe they'll even like the 80s music video and stuff like that, but, yeah, I feel like they'll watch and be like, yeah, and then like maybe watch it one more time at home, but they're just gonna be like, I'm upon the first one again.
I don't see this being as popular as the first one. And what bothers me is because it's darker, I think it's an impossible task. I don't think it would ever be as popular as the first one, but I think you had a chance to make something more adult.
Yeah, or
And
something
you
a little
blew
more
it,
unique.
and you freaking
yeah.
blew it. And that's what bothers me, because I'm like, if you're gonna make it darker, it's like it's never gonna appeal as much to kids. But I think by trying to play this both ways and be like, well, we want it really darker, but we also want a bunch of stupid shit for kids, like it just ends up being messy.
It's very. it's very Gurgi from Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people like Gurgi, so I mean, maybe you like this. I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I like Gurgi better than Olaf in this movie. every once in a while.
I don't think Gurgi ever made me laugh. Olaf at least got one or two.
I will say
giggles.
Olaf has a couple of laughs, particularly when he's going on about his existential crisis, and he says something strangely mature, but then he'll do something really stupid the next second.
Yeah,
I'm like,
constantly. Yeah. But
do we do a spoiler corner on this, or?
I don't know. I feel like you got the basic, idea there. I mean, the big. I think the big thing we would talk about is that what they're building up that they're gonna do, and the lesson they're gonna learn, and the sacrifices to make, that they're really building up is totally retconned because that's. I was gonna say what Disney does, but I would argue old school Disney, like maybe Disney 5 years ago. But now it's like they're bringing it back. I feel like this has been, with the exception of Endgame, which was good. I don't think it was great, but it was good. I feel like they've just kind of been spiraling down recently. I've not been impressed with them this year.
Well, it's all going into The Mandalorian, okay?
You know what? That's true. There is The Mandalorian.
No, once again,
that's freaking awesome.
Just like after I saw the Rise of Skywalker trailer, I'm just like, it's okay. At least we got The Mandalorian. It's like after sitting through this, I'm like, we still got The Mandalorian. Disney can still do that, right?
Yeah, I have to remind me, so Mandalorian's pretty fucking cool.
I feel like if Frozen felt like a Disney Renaissance style production, this feels like the slide of the Renaissance, and we're not quite into the direct to DVD years, but this definitely has a more feel of like, this is one of those lesser ones that came out later.
So maybe we're alone. Maybe people are loving this movie, and maybe they're saying it's just as good as the first one, if not better. I don't know. I don't know what the general reaction to this is, but
I don't know what the critical reaction to this is.
Yeah.
Either,
so we couldn't get into it, but maybe you will. Maybe you'll love Olaf. Maybe you'll like the themes and ideas and messages. And neither of us think it's awful. We just don't think it's very good.
I had to sit through Arctic Dogs this year. I mean, I can't even call.
Playing with Fire.
I can't call this film bad by overall objective standards, like compared to everything else, because I've seen things like that.
I was thinking,
but I can call it not goodish, particularly in the Disney canon, like for the standard they set.
If I never saw the first Frozen, I mean, but was caught up, knew the story or whatever, and I saw
like,
this one,
all right.
No, I'd probably be like, well, that's a few pretty things, but it's pretty dull.
Yeah.
Just
well, that's what surprised me most is that I was just like, I'm kind of bored.
Yeah. No, that surprised me too. But maybe you'll enjoy it. Like I said, let me know what you think, because I'm really curious if they're liking this, if they really enjoy it even as much as the first, or if they're feeling let down by it, or they think it's okay. Because I don't know what the reception is to this yet. So, that's about it.
Let it go.
5 times.
Yeah.
Bye.